Hey, it's me, Shane, Gemini Garage, and today I guess I'm going to do the battery box, build your own battery box part 2, or the sequel. Last year I did a build your own battery box for a smaller 12 volt motorcycle sized battery like this. Really good idea to have something like this laying around. You can use it to charge up your smaller portable radios or your cell phones in a power outage, or you can use them to power your your CB radio, 10 meter radio, your ICOM, all these ham radios, your CB radios, all this stuff takes 12 volts. And everybody I think just thinks they're going to run a wire out to their car, they're going to take the car battery out or whatever, but sometimes when an emergency hits, believe it or not, going and getting the battery out of your car is really not always an option. And that old car battery that you got laying around in the corner someplace, well, it's dead because you haven't probably kept a charger on it. So it's really nice to have something small like this. Because it's a lot smaller and you can move it around, it's a lot less likely to get forgotten about. You can kind of set it up on your workbench or set it someplace, and you can remember to charge it now and then. And so really good idea to have one of these laying around. You really just need some binding posts, some of these 12 volt kind of lighter socket port things here, some wire, your battery there, and then one of these cheap ammo cans. I also usually grab one of these real El Cheapo battery chargers just to kind of throw in here with the battery. These are kind of cheap chargers, and they're kind of noisy too. Like if you plug one of these in and you got a radio nearby, you can kind of hear them. So I don't really like to use these. I like to use a better battery charger to charge this. But it's a good idea just to get something real cheap like this and just throw it in here, just so if you're out and about someplace and you need to put a charge on it, you can. So anyways, with all that, let's get to making this. Kind of excited to make this one. It should be a little bit easier. That other ammo can was a lot thicker, thick metal. So a lot of drilling and this and that. This should be a lot easier to manipulate. So let me rearrange the camera and we'll get at it. Okay, and real quick, I mentioned a hole saw kit. What I was referring to is that usually when I put these things in here, I'll use like one of these things here from a hole saw kit. And make sure you get the right size too, because I've got a video where I got a new hole saw kit and it didn't have the proper size in there, and so I wound up making the hole too big because I wasn't paying attention. But anyways, I usually, when I'm using making a hole for one of these 12 volt ports, I use one of these right here, and that's just the right size and it works really well. But there's other ways that you can make holes in this plastic. You could use a stepped bit like this. Regular drill bits for drilling things like this here. And so I just kind of wanted to mention that when I said hole saw, there are other things you could use to put holes in this. That's just what I use for this particular one when I use these here. You could use a jigsaw too if you know how to use a jigsaw halfway decent. So all right. And the other thing that's very important is the battery. This one happens to be an AGM non-spill maintenance free one, so you really don't have to worry so much about the maintenance, the lead acid, the leaking, or the venting with the battery like this. But if you're using a regular lead acid battery or something that needs venting, make sure you have your box vented. Make sure you keep it in a place where it gets reasonably fresh air. Or you could also put a little hole in it and run a little hose out someplace, just so that it's got someplace to off gas, especially when it's charging, for safety's sake. But the other thing you need to do is when you get these things, if you get one of these cheaper plastic ammo cans, believe it or not, one of the worst things that can happen is not being able to get the sticker off. Sometimes you will get one of these things and the stickers will not come off. You'll go to rip them off, and then you are spending a lot of time trying to get the rest of the sticker off. Sounds like a stupid problem to have, but nevertheless it is a problem. I think we got lucky on this one here, so let's see. Yeah, I think we're okay. I think we're gonna be good on this one. Oh, phew. Yeah. But let me tell you, sometimes you don't get that sound. It really sucks. So, all right, nice clean box to start with there. Always make sure that your battery is going to fit in there. So you can see battery fits in there with plenty of room to spare. That's about the right size battery to be able to. This is a says VTX12BS, but it's a it's a BS12 or whatever, BA12 or whatever the 12 battery number is. 12 volt, 10 amp hour battery. But I like to have just this little bit of room in here. That way the battery, this is starting to get on the heavy side, so you really, you got like if you're into the QRP or the smaller radios and stuff, you could talk on this thing all day long. But for something like what we're talking about here, I like to have a little extra room in here to put things like a charger or maybe some extra wiring or adapters or whatever you may need for using it. So that's kind of where I'm at with that. So with that, I'm going to figure out where I want some of my ports and some of my things here, and I'm going to mark some of it out. So stick with me. Okay, and another kind of a quick FYI when you're doing this, just sort of be mindful of when you're going to put something in, kind of get an idea of where you want your battery in your box. Maybe you want it more on this end, maybe you want it more on this end, maybe you're going to flip it around and have your positive closer to this side, just kind of think maybe, where you're going to want your battery. Think of how you're going to maybe kind of keep it in there. If you put it in a box like this and you've got everything kind of packed in here, it's really not going anywhere. So you really don't have to worry much about a battery hold down with something like this. By the time you get some storage in here, put a piece of foam or some padding on here or whatever, and good to go pretty much. So, but yeah, just kind of pay attention to where maybe you're going to put some of your stuff as opposed to, where your positive and your negative posts may be. Maybe you want to flip it around. Like for me, I'm going to put my 12 volt ports in the side here. I might do one on one side and one on the other, or both on one side, not sure. I'm going to have the whole thing hooked into a toggle switch, so I'm going to have a fused wire going from the positive, and again, if I was going to do it that way, I'd want my battery turned around. I'm going to do a fused wire from the positive to a toggle switch up here, and so when that toggle switch is off, you won't be able to charge the battery, you won't be able to use the battery. When the toggle switch is on, then everything up here will be getting power, and you can hook up a charger or hook up whatever you're going to charge or use the battery for. So that's how I'm going to do that, so stick with me. Alright, well I think I'm good with holes. I'm not going to overload this thing and put a whole bunch of stuff on it. Just a couple of these 12 volt ports, one here, one on each side, toggle switch to connect and disconnect all of this from the battery, and then I've got a couple of binding posts that I'm going to put up here. So I'm just going to go ahead and save a little time here and just pop all that in there and do a little video magic and come back and have it done. So okay, a little update here. So I went ahead and installed all of my power ports. I got these two 12 volt ports right here. I got my toggle right here, and then my binding post right here. And like I said, this toggle is going to toggle everything on and off. I've got my positive post of the battery right here. And if you don't do anything else when you're making one of these things, make sure you use a fused wire, because things just are going to get hooked up backwards. Wires are going to get touched. Things are just going to happen, and you really want to have a fuse, because that will just save an awful lot of everything, is having a fused wire in line. Some people do 2 fuses. That's always great, but I'm just going to do one on this one. But make sure you've got some type of a fused wire on your positive connection there, and also pay attention to where you have your fused wire, because you might have, say, a positive wire from your positive terminal, over to your switch, and then everything from there is fused. But then if something touches that wire there, then that could cook that wire or cook your battery. So always try to make sure you've got a fuse, some type of a main fuse, or even a fusible link of some kind, circuit breaker, whatever, in between your positive terminal, your battery, and
and whatever's going out. Not a bad idea to have some other fuses down the line either, but you definitely want to have a fuse coming right off your positive there. And this is what I'm going to do with mine. I'm going to run mine right off the positive here and over to this switch here. And then from this switch, I'm going to run this wire here. And this wire has to basically split into three different directions. It's got to go positive to this one here, positive to this one here, and then positive to this up here. And then my ground here, my negative, I'm going to run straight off of this post here, and then it's got to go three places, 1, 2, and 3. So that's pretty much how I'm going to wire it up. You can see just having a toggle switch, a couple of ports, you can see the wiring starts to add up in a hurry. So that's why there's really no need to overcomplicate these things. Pretty much anything you could possibly want will come in some type of an adapter, or a 12-volt thing that you can plug in, whether it's a USB micro, USB-C, regular USB, whatever. That stuff will all plug into these things, because this is the same type of charge port you'd have on an RV or a car. So as long as you've got 1 or 2 of these, you're good to go. And always nice to have the binding posts on there just for the heck of it. So anyway, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get a little bit more wiring and fashion up a little bit more wiring here. And yeah. And also another real quick tip. I'm using 10 gauge wiring. You could probably get away with 12 gauge or maybe 14, depending on what you're doing, because it's such a short run to all this stuff. But I've got a little 10 gauge laying around, and you can just kind of use a few oddball pieces. That's another reason to save all of your oddball pieces, 2 inches, 6 inches, whatever of your wiring, because you never know when you're going to need it for something like this. So, but anyways, I'm using 10 gauge for this. You can use whatever, but that's just kind of what I'm using this. Probably overkill, but some 10 gauge wire with all this stuff, I'll never have too small a wiring. So should probably have some extra fuses though. Okay, just another quick update on what's going on here. I got some ends, just basically some small ends there. Got these on some wires here. Put a little bit of solder on a couple of them. Actually, all of these here. Got my fused wire going to the toggle. Got my live wire from the toggle coming off. Got my ground wire coming off the battery here. So pretty much just need to splice this off into 3 different directions. One here, and one here. And then this thing here, I need to splice this off into 3 different directions. One there, and one there. So should have enough wire to do everything. So, and like I said, this is not a ton of wire here. So, okay, stick with me. Okay, another quick recap here. So, I'm not even sure what all I've done. I took a wire and basically ran it from here over to here, which is the positive post on my binding post there. And then of course I got my fused wire that's going to the toggle switch. Wire from the toggle switch goes to the binding post, and then this wire in between the toggle and the binding post here, I teed in another wire. I bared this wire in the middle about 1/4 of an inch, wrapped this wire around it, soldered it, and then put some of this Temflex tape on there. If you've never used this Temflex tape, it is awesome. It's almost like the silly putty for electrical work. It's a very soft, stretchy tape. It's kind of like coax seal, and if you don't know what coax seal is, this is a great replacement for coax seal, and a heck of a lot cheaper if you don't have any. But this stuff is just really, really, I thought I had a piece laying around here, but when you wrap this stuff around, it's got kind of this little layer that you peel off of one side. But when you wrap this stuff around something like a wire, it just, I don't know how to explain it, but it just sort of kind of melts right into itself. So great stuff to use. Much, much, much better than electrical tape. That stuff just sucks compared to this. So Next, what I'm going to do is I basically got to join the power down here, and I think I'm going to do the same thing with this here. I'm going to run this up to this post here, and then take a wire from maybe spliced into here and run it down to these two grounds. Then basically I just need to splice this power wire into these two power wire here, or these two connectors here, and then actually I guess it would be these center connectors here, and then the ground into these here. So guess I'll work on putting this ground over here and splicing another ground into this wire here, so I'll have two T's like this. I guess I could, I could run another ground wire just off of here, instead of teeing it into here, but I already kind of did this like that, and so it's just easier that way. No need to put another one on there when I've only got one on each one anyway, so that's just the way I'm going to do it. Like I said, I've already done this here, so I've kind of skipped past some of the boring stuff and most of this kind of stuff because I'm guessing you know how to wire or whatever. But basically how I did most of this is I got my wire strippers here. Got a video on some automatic wire stripping pliers. These are really great. It's nice to be able to know how to do it the old way, but if you've got a lot of it to do, really great to save your hands. Or if you're like me and you go back far enough, hey man, lots of people used to bare wires with their teeth. So some of you are all like, I still do. So, put this in here and just bare some off of there. Give it a good twist there. Put it inside this ring terminal here. I gotta put my glasses on or this is never gonna get done. So I got it in this ring terminal here. You want to be careful when you're doing this kind of stuff. I probably cut a little bit too much off of there, but I like to kind of solder on the bottom too. You don't want to really have this reefed up all the way like that, otherwise you're going to have to move this out of the way. And this can cause problems when you go to put a washer or a nut when you're putting this on a post. So try to keep the overhang of some of the wiring to a minimum there when you're putting that on there. Like I said, I got probably about a 1/2 inch trimmed off of here, and I only probably needed about a 1/4 of an inch, but put it in the crimpers here. These are friggin' great to have too, by the way. There's a lot of different kinds of crimpers out there, but these were reasonably inexpensive. I think I got them at Harbor Freight, and they work really well for 10 gauge and smaller wiring like this. So, okay, so we got our end on there like that, and just for the heck of it, I'm going to go ahead and put a little daub of solder on there. Should really have a more stable surface when doing this, but I got my soldering mat over here, but it was already attached to there, so I'm just being lazy. And when I put this union here, I didn't actually cut this wire. I just cut the sheathing off of it and wrapped the wire around. And I'm going to do the same thing with this one. I could just cut this and then, but it's a little better for joining them that way. So I think this is cooled down enough here, and that's going to work for our connection right there. I think just got enough on there. find a nice little split washer that'll go on there real quick. And I gotta go get another nut for this here. This one nut vanished on me. It wasn't ever there. So okay, actually managed to find one that fit. Put that in there. And this takes time, you know, routing all this, and the stuff kind of moves sometimes when you're turning it, and you got to make sure it's, you know, a little bit tedious. Like I said, I don't have a whole bunch of connectors, but you look at what I'm already kind of into here with this, so. Okay, I think we're going to put a, I don't even need to put a jam nut on there. I got a thicker nut one on there, so. Yeah. I'm just talking to myself here, never mind me. So we got our connections here. So this thing here, I need to part this into a couple different ways somehow, so I can go to each one of the positives on here. And then I need to bare this wire here and basically do what I did here and put a piece of wire coming off of here and connect it down there to those two things, and then I will be done. So just to show you how I put this union in there without actually cutting this into two different pieces, I took my handy dandy wire strippers here, and you can put these in the middle of a wire. Let's see, where do I want my union to be? Right about here, probably good. And you can see that will remove the insulation without cutting the wire. It works better than others sometimes. This one's being a little bit stubborn, but that's okay. I'll get some real wire cutters here and take a couple of nips at this sheathing here. And all right, there we go. So see, we got this section of this wire bared, so we just basically took these and went in there, did that. You could also just, if you're really good with a razor blade, or, you know, you could ring around that and pull those. But anyway, so that way you've only got one union to make with this to this wire instead of, you know, a clump of three of them. So anyways, I'm going to come in here and I'm going to trim it about, it's probably a good inch or so off of there. Let me back this up a little bit so I can get some of what I'm doing in here. So I got about an inch or so off of this, and I'm not going to twist it super tight, but I'm going to bring it up here to this thing like this, and I'm going to bring it over. Like that. Alright. And I'm going to nip this little piece off right here. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some solder on this section here. And like I said, instead of having, you know, 3 wires that you got to clump together and do all that with, this makes it just a little bit easier and a little bit cleaner, especially if you've kind of got limited space. So, okay, I'm going to throw some solder on here. It's going to take a bit. Damn turkeys. Okay, I think we've got that filled up pretty good there. And then we're going to take some of this Temflex tape here. And I'm actually going to wait a minute for that to cool off. It's a little bit warm, but not too bad. So like I said, you just pull this stuff off or cut it. Pull off this one side. It's kind of like a bandage thing almost. And then we're just going to kind of wrap this a little bit, a couple different directions here. Kind of like how you wrap the rope or the string around a cross. You're like, we never did that. But if you did, and you can see how this stuff really stretches and it just almost turns into kind of a soft rubber. And it just it doesn't start coming off and unrolling and peeling off like regular electrical tape does. I mean, don't get me wrong, regular electrical tape definitely has its uses. We've all used. There was once a time where you probably couldn't find a kitchen drawer or a car glove box without electrical tape, WD-40, and probably half a pack of cigarettes. Sorry, that's just the way it was. Okay, so you can see as that stuff just kind of melts as you're just sort of putting it around there. You can't even really see the seams. And if you need to take it off or remove it, you basically just take a knife or a razor blade and just kind of start filleting it and get a chunk and then just peel it off of there. So there you go. So, but anyways, you can see how that's a lot cleaner than cutting this wire, and it's just better, in my opinion, anyways, for something like this. So, anyways, like I said, now basically I need to take this, and I got 2 positives and 2 negatives down there. I need to figure out how I'm going to attach this to these 2 positives and these 2 negatives. Really not sure how I'm going to do it. I really not sure yet, but it shouldn't be too. Okay, so now basically we got our union here, and basically I need to just attach this negative to these 2 negatives down here, and this positive to these 2 positives down here. You can see down in there. I'm not sure how I'm going to do it, but it shouldn't be too complicated. So I'm going to take and do the same thing. Since these things are close together down there, I'm just going to tee this one into there and put it down there between those 2, and then do the same thing with the positive here. So I'm going to do it like this. We got our spot in the center there. I'm going to do this one a little bit different. I'm not going to, well, maybe I will do it the same. Worked for the other one. So, all right, so we got our little T connector on here. T connector, I guess it's just our T. And I basically need to just stick these down in there. And I don't have any of the connectors, the butt terminal connectors. Otherwise I would just put those on the ends of these and just slide them on there. So I may have to solder these on there, or otherwise get creative unless I can come up with some connectors that I didn't know I had. But yeah, otherwise, like I said, I would just put connectors on each end of these and just slide it on the positive and the negative. But don't have the connectors, so that's the way it goes sometimes. So. And just another FYI, I started out with a clean work surface, so this gets messy in a hurry too. So have a good workbench or a picnic table or just some place where you can do all this uninterrupted. So I'm taking, since one's on one side and the other's on the other, and they're kind of close together there. Not bad, but they're just kind of close together there to try and work on. So I'm going to take one of these out here so I can kind of fiddle around with the wires, get these things connected. Okay, I was lucky. I did manage to find some connectors. I think they were older than I am, but I did find some that would fit on some 10 gauge there that had these yellow sleeves on them. I just took these off so I could have at the connector itself. And it's kind of hard to see the black one, but that T that I made, I just basically cut that T a little bit short, put those connectors on there, and those are the same kind of connectors you use to put on the back side of these 12-volt ports. So as you can see here, it's not perfect. It's a little funny looking, but it's a little squished looking, but you can see one connector's here and one's there. I had to kind of bend the terminals on the back there. Even if I would have put these things in different locations, I would have still had to run a little bit of extra wire, and it would have still been a little bit, probably for this shorter run, probably don't need to use 10 gauge wire either. But like I said, I had a few links of this that were kind of chopped up in multiple small pieces, so I just kind of decided to use that of what I got laying around. But this is pretty much it. I don't have the fuse in it yet, but as you can see, I just decided to kind of slide the battery this way a little bit. It's not going anywhere with this stuff here, and then with the charger right here, it's not really going to go anywhere, and then it's not going to flop up and down very much because the lid here, and by that point, I'll probably have something like this, some extra wiring or something, probably sitting in here on top like that to kind of cushion that a little bit. So I highly recommend, like for example, here's a wire that I made, and I ended up not needing it, but I'm not going to throw this thing out. This is a perfectly good connector or a jumper wire for something. Put it in your wire stuff, and save it, or throw it in your box here. You might need it. Just an example of little things you might throw in here that could definitely come in handy in a power outage or an emergency. And other thing you have to remember is when it comes to things like that, forget about yourself. You're going to know a lot of other people that might need, a battery or a little connector or whatever. I mean, probably not a bad idea to keep, like I said, a little bit of wire in there, and maybe a small little pair of wire cutters, or at least a knife, and some couple of extra connectors or whatever. But anyway, so I think we're pretty much good to go here with this thing. I'm going to put the fuse in it and go get my voltmeter thing. You could put a voltmeter anywhere on these two. I chose to use the kind of voltmeter that's got the USB plugs and stuff in there, because they're always changing the USB thing. So if you've got one of those things that just plugs into the 12 volt, then you can you can always have whatever's current. And then if you've got an extra one or two of those too, you can also got enough room probably to throw those in here too. So let's just see here how well the lid closes here. Kind of try to be mindful of that kind of stuff. Really only got these two wires, and that's kind of why I didn't want to have a whole bunch of wires coming off the battery, and why I wanted to use the 10 gauge, is I figured use 10 gauge, just some basic taps off of that, and it maybe kind of confuse the wiring a little bit less in here. But as you can see, I think all this is going to tuck down in there pretty good. Yeah, we got plenty of room in there. Probably got plenty of room for our wires there. Oh yeah, that's going to be good. So absolutely. Probably even put wire cutters down. Yeah, here's some full-size wire cutters, and they fit down in beside the battery here. So got room for the charger here. And like I said, this is the size 12 BS, or BA12, I think is what the original number on it was from years ago, this size battery. But they make these batteries a little bit smaller too, so you might want to have a little bit smaller battery and more accessories in here, whatever. But anyways, pretty cool. Got the binding post right here, my on-off switch here, and then of course this right here, my one 12-volt port on the one side and the other on the other. And then, like I said, I'm going to go grab the voltmeter thing and just plug it into here. But one other thing real quick is, like the other box that I put together, I did get this little solar panel that came with it. And these were really cheap. They were like a couple dollars a piece, I think. I ordered 2 of them. I should have ordered more. There's not much here, and you got to solder your own little wire on there. But I've got some really small length of wire here and some small wire. I'm going to tack this on there, and I'm going to take a measurement on this thing tonight, and then I'm going to set this thing out in the sun, and then I'm going to take a measurement on it tomorrow and see how much, if any, this thing charged it up. I don't expect anything massive out of this, but you know, these little solar panels like this, not like this is time for storytelling, but in the early 80s, when they were really talking a lot about solar power and this and that, one of my grandmas got me a little solar powered calculator. I think it was one that she bought at Radio Shack or something. And that thing worked forever and ever and ever. And I could just remember, and it just had a tiny little solar panel on it. And even way after the battery went dead, that thing would still work. And so, anyways, no matter how small the solar cell, my mom has tons of those yard ornaments that have the little solar cells in them and just the little cheapo nickel cadmium AA battery in them. Those things last forever. Some of them do. So, but the point is, even something really small like this, a few hours in the sun can give you enough charge, and something like this to maybe help, you know, charge up a cell phone, maybe get a radio on the air, whatever. So, and the nice thing with something like this is it's just going to slide down in here. You know, it doesn't really take up any space, and good enough for emergencies. So, I'm going to tack these wires on there, go get that voltmeter, and we'll go from there. Okay, getting towards the moment of truth here. Should put a fuse in here. Like I said, you definitely want to use a fuse, because that's just, like I said, you can cook a lot of stuff. Start a fire, you just, when wires and all this stuff starts melting, and I mean, this ain't a big battery, but I mean, even a small little battery, you know, you don't want shorts. So let's see here. Okay, we got this thing plugged in. Go ahead and close the lid. And this is the deal I'm going to use. Like I said, it's got a USB port and then a USB-C on it. So, I mean, pretty much whatever you need, you can figure out using this. Or have multiples of these if you've got, you know, a micro USB or older plugs or whatever. So we're going to stick this thing in the side here. And it should read exactly nothing because I haven't turned it on yet. Don't forget, the whole thing is running through that fused wire there. So, and there we go. 12.9. Rock and roll. So what I'm going to do is I got those wires soldered to the back of the little solar cell here. Wow. Technically, you're supposed to call them solar cells, but this actually says solar panel on it. So there you go. If anybody gives you any crap about calling it a solar panel ever, there you go. Solar panel. Anyway, so I'm going to hook this thing up to the binding post here, and I'm going to set it outside, or at least set this in the sun here, and see what the reading is tomorrow. So we shall see. Cool. Okay, so I've got my little solar panel hooked up to my binding posts on the top of the box here. When I first hooked the battery up, it was reading at 12.9. And I've noticed as this has been on, it hasn't really changed from the 12.9. But then I took the solar panel, I disconnected it and hooked it straight up to this little thing, and it read 12.9. So it's just, you're just not going to get any more out of that little panel, you know, it'll maintain it at 12.9. But don't expect to put it on that little panel and then come out the next day and have it say 13.3 or something, because it's just going to kind of top out there. Let me see if I can do this with one hand and show you here. Okay, well here you can see it's 12.9 and it's just hooked up to the panel here. So the panel is working. It's just not going to go any higher than 12.9. So yeah, like I said, for a few bucks, put your own wires on there, and something small you can just stick in your box, and better than nothing. You could also take a couple of those and maybe glue them or stick them on the outside of the box if you wanted to, and wire them in. But I find it easier just to charge the battery, and then if you had an emergency situation, to deploy your panel there. So, but it does work. So, okay, well there you go. I'm gonna call that a success. I'm pretty happy with that little situation there. So that seems to work pretty good. Let me set the camera back here, and we'll wrap this up here. All right, well there you go. Once again, the important thing is that you whether you buy one of these or make one of these things, you just do it. If you have a cell phone, if you operate radio equipment, pretty much no matter what you're into or what hobby or walk of life you're into, it's kind of important to have a reserve battery. And you can get those little power packs and stuff that are pretty good for charging up your phones and maybe even some of your smaller radios. But you got to remember, you're getting an actual battery in here. So if something happened and you need to take this out and put it in an actual motorcycle, or if you had a couple of these, 2 or 3 of these would probably be enough to maybe start a car if you needed to, etc. So there's a lot of other advantages to building your own box and using an actual battery like this, as opposed to buying pre-made stuff, or stuff that doesn't have a user-friendly, replaceable battery. Stuff that's got a proprietary battery cell in it or some kind. I usually kind of like to stay away from stuff like that. So big plus in building your own box here. So like I said, I've got plenty of room in here to put my panel in here, and to put my extra wiring in here and all that good stuff. So I really am happy with how it turned out. It's a little more maneuverable than the other one. Hold on here, I got it sitting down here. This one here is the first one that I built here, and of course you can see the video on that. So definitely a little bit more of a tank, but it's come in handy too. So not a bad idea to have a couple of these laying around. Good for the RV, good for the car, good for the camping trip, pretty much good for whatever. So again, if you think about it, click the like and subscribe, and as I always say, I just hope that it motivates you to buy one or build one of your own. So until the next video, Shane, Gemini Garage. Thank you.